So now I'm going to talk about my treatment planning. I do the gastro assessment early on in the assessment, and if there was a reaction to that gastro assessment, I would stop the rest of the assessment and I would treat the horse with the gastro protocol. And according to what else I see, what other symptoms there are, I might even do call-out protocols, do wellness points, etc. If the vitals are not within range, I would do a vital protocol. If I find structural issues, I'll do a body balance protocol. I'll look at any meridian connections that I've recorded along the way while I'm looking at things like posture and ting points, etc., etc. And along with any reactions I get to the association points, which are also connected to meridians, that would help me determine my dominant meridian. And my dominant meridian will determine my TAAT and my SAAC to be done. So the TAAT is tonification, association, tonification points, and SAAC is source, association, connecting points. Working on the TAAT activates the chi in the meridian, and doing the SAAC points balances the chi in that meridian. Also with the meridian connections, there are organs and muscles connected to each point. So before I determined whether it was a meridian, a muscle, or an organ, I would check the related muscle and organ. And if I found it was a meridian, I would do the TAAT and the SAAC. If it was a muscle, I would treat the belly of the muscle, and then if there was no resolution, I would treat the origin and insertion points of the muscle. If it was an organ, I would do the alarm points, and I would look up other points in the horse book that might relate to that organ. If it's a foot issue, I'm going to do laminitis or even a navicular protocol. It depends on what I find. Do I find white line separation? Does it seem to be heel pain? You know, what do I see? Do I see low heel, really long toe? Usually that's heel pain. I might do navicular, so I would, do various things depending on what I found. If I found any hollows or heat and ting points, I would light the ting points. I always check for resolution of any reaction. If any association points are still reactive, I can light that point directly. But also each point along the association points is related to a physical area of the horse. For example, that first part we do, a little horizontal test up here, up at the occiput, it's called D on the assessment. That's connected to the opposite hind quarter. Or when you're checking the vertical cervical vertebrae, that's connected to the neck, shoulder, and croup on the same side. So whatever you find your reaction to, if you're not getting resolution, then you may have to look further and look for other areas that could be causing the problem. Sometimes it takes time for resolution. The chi flows in a 24-hour cycle through the meridians, so you may not see a resolution right away. And then when I finish the treatment, I do stretches, and then I do an emotional release. And I might treat the pec or the supraspinatus or the deltoid muscle, depending on whether I found any reaction to one of those three. I can use the emotional balance protocol. Source points even are good for emotional release. And of course the green light does access the parasympathetic nervous system, so I would use the green light. And I could even do a TAAT or a SAAC for emotional. For example, liver can be anger, or stomach spleen can be worry, so I would determine what I was going to do according to that. Usually though, I start with a body balance protocol because I find that will resolve most issues. It's also an excellent maintenance protocol, and I always do the ting points because they're the beginning ending points of all the meridians, and they're really powerful balancers of chi and well-being. And then I do the other treatments and protocols as needed, sort of in that order that I have already described. I'd like to demonstrate the body balance protocol. I have put the pad on just below the withers, and I've set it at 0-1 with infrared. I put it on for about 20 minutes. I set it so that the corners of the pad are just below about where bladder 13 would be. I start off with the TMJ. If I had an imbalance in the hyoid, then I would be putting the stronger light on the side of the imbalance. I face the direction that the horse's head is facing, and I go with him as he moves. I am going to stick here for a release since he looks like he needs one. Then I go to the hyoid underneath the mandibular ramus. Then I do large intestine 20 on the upper gums. And then the occiput around gallbladder 20, bladder 10 area. And small intestine 16 between the second and third vertebra. Stomach 10 below where the fifth and sixth cervical vertebra meet. And then to release the front end, I put the stronger light down on lung 1A in the pec muscle, the other light on GV14, and of course I do both sides. Looks like he really needs this, so I'm going to redo this when we finish here. And then I do CV17 and CV12. Then I'm going to pass the light to the back of the horse. This time the corner of the pad is going to be about where, it's just the top of the coxal tuberosity area. If it took a long time to get releases on the front and I needed more time, then I would add more time. So I'm going to put my stronger light up on GV4, and I'm going to put my other light on liver 9. And then keeping the stronger light on GV4, I'll put the other light at CVT, which is the tip of the tail. And then I'm going to do stomach 36 and bladder 38. Of course I would do both sides. And then I'm going to do liver 13 just on the edge of the last rib, and the sixth cervical vertebra. And then I'm going to do the sixth and the fifth and the fourth cervical vertebrae. I'm going to demonstrate the stomach TAAT. This is what I would do if I found that the dominant meridian was the stomach meridian. So I start with stomach 41. And I do, at the same time, bladder 21. Then I take the light from the stomach 41 and put it on bladder 21, put my other light on bladder 20, and hold that. And then I keep that light on bladder 20 and put the other light on spleen 21. Of course you do both sides. So the TAAT activates the chi in the meridian, this case the stomach meridian, and then the SAAC balances the chi. So you do the TAAT first, followed by the SAAC. So the SAAC is going to be stomach 42 with bladder 21. And then I'm going to remove that light and put the next light on bladder 14, keeping the second light where it was. And then holding that light there, I'm going to move the other light down to pericardium 6. Just put the back of the chestnut there. And of course I would do that on both sides. So now I'm going to demonstrate the stretches. First one I'm going to do is the occiput stretch, where you tickle the ear and get them to do a head shake. And then front leg stretch. I also stretch it backwards. Do the hind end stretch. I'm going to do the hamstring. Make sure that the knee comes out beyond the ribs, just a little to the side of it, and then stretch it backwards. I'm going to do this tummy tuck. My fingers on the midline. I'm going to ask them to go up, 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 and then let them relax. And I'll do it 3 times. And then the wither stretch, where I'm going to press just at GB14. I'm going to put my hand on the sternum, and I'm going to push in a sort of like a curved shape. Now the hip release. Then I'm going to do the face pull. I don't actually pull on the tail, I hold it, and I let him pull against me, and I just maintain whatever pressure he exerts, so that I'm not going to be actually pulling on the tail, but we're going to be balancing what we're doing. Rib release. If I did the rib check and I found that there was a rib that was reactive, I would light the rib where it joins the vertebra and the bottom of the rib where it joins the cartilage to do that rib release. And then I do carrot stretches, which are neck stretches. So I stretch the neck itself. And then stand. And then I do carrot stretches to the hip, underneath, middle. And to do the shoulder as well. And then I do the rear tuck. So now I'm going to demonstrate the gastro protocol, which I would do if I had a positive reaction to my gastro assessment. Before I start it, I would do the introductory points of GB14 and Bachway, and then I would do bladder 40 and bladder 60. And then it's very important in the gastro to do the pairs of points together and in order. So I would do bladder 20 and 21. Of course, I would do both sides. And then I would do pericardium 1 and liver 13. And then I'm going to do gallbladder 25 and stomach 25. And then I'm going to do pericardium 6 and large intestine 4. And then after that, I'm going to do liver 2 and spleen 4. And after that, I'm going to do stomach 36 and stomach 45. And stomach 45 is a tink point. And after those ones, then I do spleen 6, just above the hock on the medial side. And then I do stomach 2, which is at the eye. Stomach 1 is a quarter of the eye, stomach 2 is just a little bit to the side of that. And that's the gastro protocol. So I'm going to demonstrate the source points. On the medial side, you've got pericardium 7, triple heater 4, and small intestine 4. On the lateral side, you've got heart 7, lung 9, and large intestine 4. And on the hind end, on the medial side, you've got kidney 3, just above the hock opposite bladder 60. You've got liver 3, and you've got spleen 3. And then on the lateral side, you've got gallbladder 40, stomach 42, and bladder 16.